In this video, I will quickly go over the various use cases of the ScholarTag website. As some of you already know, ScholarTag allows you to build dynamic lists um, in a collaborative fashion. Sometimes if you have other collaborators, you can allow them to build the list with you. And these lists built using something we call as the single page application, SPA, allows you to build very interesting lists by leveraging the power of APIs. So what that means is, suppose you are creating a list of textbooks, you are creating a list of material that you want to cover in a certain course. You can sit on the page, the list builder page on ScholarTag, and you can keep on adding textbooks. You can keep on adding YouTube videos, journal publications. You can upload your lecture materials, PPTs, PDFs, etc. All while sitting on the ScholarTag page itself. So if you're searching for a YouTube video, we call YouTube APIs and find relevant videos for you that you can add to the list. If you're adding journal publications, we call DOI APIs and find the right journal papers for you. If you're adding patents, to your series of lectures, the material that you want to curate, we actually make use of USPTO APIs. So while sitting on the list builder page itself, you can actually create a very useful list of things that you can share among colleagues, among students, among sponsors, etc. And we will go over the various modalities in which you can share these lists. But you will see that in a very short span of time, you can build very useful lists. Okay, and how to build a list will be shown in a separate video. If you also in the last slide, we have included a link to that. If you don't know how to build a list, you can just quickly skip to the last part of the video first, take a look at how to build the list and then come back to this presentation. Of the many ways in which ScholarTag, these dynamic lists can be used, one of the ways in which I have been using is to manage my research group. So as you can see, manage your research group through dynamic lists. Sharing documents through email is no longer enough. So what I do is I have a list that I have created, and you will see in the demo video that to create a list, you essentially make use of this down arrow. So you can go to the demo account and try playing around with the list and click on this down arrow. You will see that a panel opens up here. When you click on this down arrow, a panel opens up, and that panel allows you to select or add a YouTube link or a subfolder or upload a document, add a journal paper, etc. And at the end of the process, you end up with a dynamic list that is of great use. So here, as you can see, I have organized my research group into categories, and what I have done is each of my students are now maintaining their research related list. So what I do is from time to time I go into this list, because the thing is some of the students who are very proactive constantly update me over WhatsApp, etc. But now that we in the online mode, we don't have a lot of face-to-face interaction. What happens is some of these students who do not reach out, like from my viewpoint, maybe the inbound. So when I don't get a lot of inbound interactions, then I go into my list and click. So for example, in this case, I can click on this MTP1 flow scheduler. This is the project that this student is working on, and I go to the list that he's maintaining for this particular research work. I can keep and I can closely watch what the resources that he has been referring to, things that he is building, for example, and also basic presentation that he is building over time as well. So I can not only see the progress of his work. I not only see the stack of materials that he is using to learn and pick up what he has to do for this particular thing. I can actually go in as a co-curator, and I can rearrange things, I can add things, etc., that helps him in his work further. So this is the first use case. You can manage a large group of people and their progress. Of course, it doesn't have a lot of features, but sometimes basic features are all we need as well. Secondly, manage publication lists. I use ScholarTag to manage my publication lists, reading lists, project lists, etc. As you can see on the left-hand column, I have a list of good books on aerodynamics. You can see I have organized this list into categories like general introductory, low speed aerodynamics, high speed aerodynamics, very high speed aerodynamics, etc. And I have added textbooks. Now, how to add textbooks is something that is covered in the video of how to create a list. However, I can just tell you that again, you click on this down arrow, a panel opens up. In that panel, there are various options of adding various things. You click on add a textbook, another panel opens up. You enter the ISBN or the title, author name, etc., and then you click on search. And while staying on the page itself, you don't have to go to Google Books or Amazon or any other place. While staying on the ScholarTag list builder page itself, we pull books, list of books relevant to your search by using various APIs and show it to you, which you can add as per your wish. And eventually you can create a list that becomes very useful. As you go on building this list, the software, builds up some of these panels that become useful for students to, interact with the information that you are curating. On the right hand side, you can see, I have organized my publications in some categories. Unfortunately, when you see publications that we kind of typically show on our institute websites, etc., it is still in the paragraph form, not very easy to navigate, etc. But here, I can create this hierarchical structure that it becomes useful for students and also collaborators to go through certain things. With any list that you build on ScholarTag, you have the option of publishing, unpublishing. Of course, sometimes I keep some of these lists unpublished, and then I can just, the unpublished lists, of course, are accessible only to the owner of the list. However, sometimes I need these lists to show things in a classroom environment. So far, so long, I have been searching for YouTube videos while projecting, my screen on the big screen for students to see, and it becomes a little um, difficult when you have to go through your emails and search for certain attachments while students are seeing everything that is happening in your inbox. Sometimes there are privacy concerns as well. So nowadays I have my lists that I keep unpublished, has all the attachments and YouTube videos that I want to show students for some course presentations. And then I don't have to go into my inbox, I don't have to go to YouTube to search for things on while projecting things on the screen for students to see. I go to my list on ScholarTag and then I just show them from there. So that's a little bit about publish, unpublish. However, in most cases, you would like to publish something that it's accessible by the everyone else, or it's accessible to select people. You can see that along with publish, unpublish, we also have an access control. Okay, in this case, this list I have left as public, so anyone on the internet can see, but you can edit this, so you can make it private. So even though it is published, your list can be private and can be accessed by only people who are allowed through a list of emails. Next is manage course materials. So I use this to manage course materials for easy access by students. You can privately or public share lecture notes, lecture videos, assignments in the form of a dynamic list. So as you can see on the top left, when you build a course, you enter some basic information, you hit continue, course builder panel opens up. In this case, I have built a course on aerodynamics laboratory 1. Spring 2021. I mean, this depends, of course, on which semester, which year you are presenting these materials for. You see, once you build a list, and building a list is quite simple, there is a tutorial on that as well. But if you click on this down arrow, you will know how to build a list. Okay, so I will go into that in the last portion of this presentation. But as you can see, I have added some instructor profile, I have added some textbooks, some prerequisites, some experimental setups. As you can see, some videos are there from YouTube. Some books are there from Google Books API, using Google Books API. These videos are added using YouTube APIs. So you don't have to go to YouTube. You can actually search for YouTube database, YouTube videos while sitting on the list builder page itself. In the instructor profile, sometimes students want to know, the background of the instructor. So I have included external links. It is my LinkedIn profile, my Google Scholar page, and a PDF and a Word document that contains my basic CV. As you can see, while you build this list, ScholarTech builds these panels for you, so it becomes easy for the students to, so a student can go through the, so just like you click on the down arrow to build the list, you click on these left plus minus signs to open and close nodes. This is quite self-evident. Instead of that, students often, quickly directly go to these these modules that we have and find resources. So it just improves the ergonomics of the website. Snapshots and assignments are two important features. Snapshots means that sometimes we would like to send a list opened in a certain way and some items highlighted in a certain way. So when you do that, because the list can be opened in various ways. Sometimes I may keep instructor profile closed, but I would like to open prerequisites. So what happens is snapshots give you a way in which you can open the list in certain way, highlight certain items in that opened list, and then take a snapshot and email that snapshot to your target audience. When they click on the link, they find the list opened in the way you want them to see, and they also see those things highlighted that you want them to focus on. So that is the snapshot feature. Assignments essentially is, as an instructor, if you click on assignments, you will see assignments that you have added to the list. When you upload something, you get the option of saying whether it is an assignment. So all those assignments that are there in the list can be accessed from this assignment button or assignment link. And you can actually see if students are submitting solutions to the assignments. On the other hand, when students access your list and they see the assignments, when they click on it, they get the option of uploading their solutions to those assignments. So students upload assignments and you can monitor and you can access those uploaded assignments. Bookmark, of course, sometimes you have these useful lists or courses. So when I say list or course, essentially it means the same thing. A course is nothing but a list with some extra information about which semester, which year, which institute, etc. So you can nonetheless, if you know how to build a list, you know how to build a course. Adding a bookmark helps us because sometimes we are in a semester, we are following like 4 courses. And if you just add bookmark to those 4 courses, it becomes easy to find them. So when you add the bookmark, it is saved in your bookmark tool and you can find them without too much of a hassle of searching every time you're on the site. Now, this feature offer workshops and short courses. Students and other stakeholders who come to your course page find your short courses and can sign up. What that essentially means is when you create a course on, say, aerodynamics laboratory at this, as I showed in the previous slide, you can also add short courses. For example, this is a short course on for some people who are interested in aerodynamics laboratory. So this is known as Schlieren and shadowgraphy. These are very powerful imaging techniques in aerodynamics. So the idea is sometimes people do not know what we teach. They know that we are faculty members in the aerospace department. Some people know that we are in propulsion as well. But people in industry, people in other organizations, sometimes they would like to train their people in certain skills, but in my interactions, I have found that they do not exactly know who is knowledgeable in that module of knowledge. So in this case, what is happening is once I create a course, say on aerodynamics, and people come to this aerodynamics page, they see I'm an instructor at a well-known university or institute, and they see that I am teaching aerodynamics laboratory, so they have some idea that I might be knowledgeable in these aerodynamic measurement or visualization techniques, etc. And then when they see that I'm offering a course in Schlieren shadowgraphy, they find a convenient way of registering for these short courses. So a short course typically is a course that is in the domain of the list that you have put here, and people can sign up for it. This allows skill sets for instructors to be discovered, because as I said already that sometimes although people know the broad area in which we work, they often do not know the subfields or the small modules that they could use. And so this is a bridge. So you create a course or a list, in that add short courses or workshops that are relevant for people who are accessing this list. So they come to your list, then they see short courses that you're offering, and they can sign up if you're offering something at that point. If you're not offering something, they can actually request a short course. So in this case, since since a short course has already been added here, so that is being shown. But if for some reason you have not added a short course, people who come to this list can if they feel that you are knowledgeable enough and you have experience enough, they can actually request short courses. So this opens up, a channel of communication between industry and faculty members, etc. Email and share snapshots, as I already mentioned a bit. Sometimes you would like your students to go through a certain document but you would also like them to see what you have, around. This becomes very useful when you're interacting with your sponsors and research collaborators. You want to highlight on some document, but you also want them to consider other documents that you have in the portfolio. And in email, this hierarchy is very difficult to create. You can attach some things, you can write it up that look at this, and if you want, maybe look at these other documents. But the hierarchy becomes very flat. This it's not very easy. It seems as if you want the audience to see everything that you are sending. Here, on the other hand, you can open a list in a certain way. As you can see, I have not opened experimental setups by clicking on the plus sign. I have not opened basic experiments by clicking on the plus sign here, but I have opened my prerequisites. So essentially, maybe I'm telling my students that some prerequisites are necessary, and I'm highlighting this. So if you click on the down arrow, you will find the highlight tool. You highlight it, and then I click on the snapshot. You see, snapshots allow you to share your courses and lists by showing and hiding different nodes as per your requirement. The nodes a sponsor would be interested in will be different from the nodes a prospective employer will be interested in. First, open the nodes as you would want the recipient to see, then click on snapshot link here to get a shareable URL for the current state of the course of the list. So if you click, you open it up, you highlight whatever you want to highlight, then you click on the snapshot and get the snapshot link. You send the link to anyone, they can, when they click on it, they see the list in this state, okay, opened in a certain way, and the resource you want them to see highlighted in red. Assignments, I've already talked about assignments a bit. So when you build a course or even a list, you can add assignments. So when you add a document, you can mark it as an assignment. As you can see, I'm now able to, when I click on assignments, I see this small tool for assignments. I can select the particular assignment I'm interested in. So this is the view from the student's end. Okay, so students can upload assignments. And this is the view from the instructor's end. So when an instructor clicks on assignments, so he will be able to access the submission. So here, when I click on assignments, I have this panel. I select which particular assignment I want to look at. This is assignment on boundary layers, and I can see the submissions. I can click on these to actually download the submissions and grade them, etc. Build better course descriptions. As we have seen in a lot of our websites, institute websites, we have course descriptions that are still quite primitive. We have a paragraph about these courses, and these paragraphs are not really, explicit enough of what students can expect during the duration of the course. And this is but one particular reason for disengagement from students, because they come expecting something, and then they see that what is being taught is very different from their expectations. So what ScholarTag does is, if you build course list, as you can see here, Dynamics Laboratory 1, as you see here, you can add, a lot of dynamic, well, you can dynamically add a lot of material. For example, I have, a section on instructor profile, textbooks, prerequisites, experimental setup, basic experiments. I can add YouTube videos, PDFs. I add the USPTO patent documents, then PhD thesis, and a lot of things I can add. And what happens is, instead of looking at a 5-sentence blurb about what they're expecting, that often leads to disengagement. As I say, we feel students are not paying attention, etc. But I think sometimes the fault lies in the way we do things before we see the reaction from the students, disengagement from the students. So you can build better course descriptions if you put an outline of your course in a dynamic list form that you see here. When you build this list, automatically these things are created by the software itself. So instead of paragraphs describing course content, build interactive lists containing course materials. Let students access course materials before they take a course. And I think it is quite evident that the people who come to your course after seeing these things would have more engagement with what you teach. Of course, in today's world, staying connected is important. As you can see, as with any other websites these days, you get the chance to discuss things. Almost every resource has a discussion tool. You can see my feed. You can ask questions. You can discuss things. You can follow other researchers, academicians whose work you are interested in. Of course, people can follow you as well. when you follow or when people follow you, what happens is in their own account page, there's a feed where these whoever people they are following, their publicly available materials are available in that feed. Co-curators is an important feature. For example, suppose you have a research group working on say hypersonic, uh, say fuel injection systems in hypersonic vehicles. What happens is, if you add your co-curators from the research members in your group, and 3, 4, or 5, 6 people are building up a list or a course, very soon that course or list becomes very resource rich uh, place for people who are interested in that topic to come to. So what happens is you and your research group, all playing the role of co-curators, drive the content in that list or in that course, and eventually you establish yourself as a go-to place or a go-to group, research group, that people think is knowledgeable in a certain topic, and that opens up scopes for collaboration, scopes for workshops, short courses, etc. as well. So the co-curator feature is important when you want to say establish your research group as a leader in a certain research topic. So you build up this list of course with the efforts of this all the members, and essentially that list ends up becoming an equivalent of a Wikipedia page, and people come to that page whenever they need information. So, and also the bookmark tool is important. It also helps you stay connected with the lists and the people who are creating them, so lists that you are interested in. The basic idea of for example, you can stay connected by following members, messaging, bookmarking courses. You can add a co-curator, not just a one co-curator. You can add as many co-curators as you want, and you can, for example, TAs and RS can be added as co-curators to courses. Research scholars can be added, co-curators on list critical content, reference materials, progress reports, presentations, etc. Now, this is something that some users are interested in. What about uptime? So if I go to a classroom, is it that your service will be ready or down sometime, difficult to access? So we use a Google Cloud backend. We are, the architecture is developed in such a way as to, keep the service up and running. We have load balancing and auto scaling and all these features enabled. The things that you upload, like files and documents, of course, nowadays privacy and access control has to be part of these kind of platforms. So whenever you upload something, it is accessible only through the list. So it is not accessible out of the list. And even since the list is access controlled, so whatever is in the list is access controlled by default. What we do is each of these documents that you upload are assigned a signed URL. So even if someone can access the document, who is allowed to access the document, the link to the document expires after after a preset time, and so that makes the link quite useless. So it cannot be shared indefinitely. So that's what we show here, that some privacy concerns. For example, you can control who sees your courses and lists. You may keep them private, allowing email-based access, or you may leave them public, opening them up to the world. For example, in this case, while I publish and unpublish, I can create the access control. So if I click on this edit button, I get this panel. So here you see that we have kept it public. Anyone on the internet can see. Email list is disabled at this point because in public, email list doesn't matter. However, if I make it private, then this thing becomes active, and I will be, I will have to add a list of emails that I want to give access to my list to. On the other hand, you see here the link to this document has been encrypted, and it's a signed URL that expires after a certain time. So even if people have this link, they cannot share it indefinitely. First of all, only people who are allowed to see the list can see the document, and even after that, they cannot share the link to the document indefinitely. Finally, we have added a demo page. So if you go to scholartag.com, you can click on this URL to try out the features without signing up first, because sometimes it becomes a bit annoying that even to see the features you have to sign up. So you can just click on the demo.php page, or you can just go to this first tab. So it logs in into our John Doe account, and there you can play around with the various features. As I said, if you click on any of these, you will see the down arrow. So you see the down arrow that you can use to build your lists. And then finally, we have, so if you go to this URL, you can actually see a demo of how to build a list. So I've been talking about this building a list many times, so you can see how to build a list.